Hi, good afternoon. I am Shuchi Nagpal, CEO, Asian School of Cyber Laws. I am going to be speaking about the proposed the proposed legislation on mediation, which is going to be brought into India. What is it that is bringing about this requirement for such a legislation, and what this legislation will try to address? I'm going to be speaking to Gokul Narayan, who is my COO, as well as a mediator with the Center for Advanced Mediation Practice. Gokul, hi, good afternoon.
Hi. Hi, Suji. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Tell me, Gokul, let's start with something very basic. What is mediation all about?
Okay. This is a very loaded question, but I'll try and keep this as crisp and short as possible. Mediation basically is nothing but facilitated negotiation.
Okay.
So parties come into a situation where they need their dispute to be mediated only when the negotiations between the parties have failed. So what a mediator basically does is the mediator assumes the role of a buffer or a filter between the parties and facilitates a negotiation between them in such a manner so as to enable the parties to arrive at a solution to their problem, which is according to their own requirements.
Wonderful.
So it's a very simple system which allows the parties to retain control of the outcome of their dispute.
Am I right in understanding that whatever is the outcome of a mediation is the parties are not bound by anything to actually accept those decisions? Am I right?
So there is no decision over here, Shuchi. So if, for example, party A and party B are in a dispute, which is being mediated by you, who's a mediator, what you are trying to do is facilitate the negotiation between the parties in such a manner that they're able to arrive at a solution which is mutually acceptable to both of them. So there is no decision that is taken. Since it's a mutually accepted decision, there is no question of a decision being passed over here. It's more in terms of a settlement agreement, that these are the terms that A and B have decided to settle their dispute on.
All right. Also, tell me something else. Am I right in understanding, as of right now, there is no legislation or law in India which regulates this entire process?
You're absolutely right, Suchi. There is no legislation that is currently there in India. There have been quite a few proposed legislations which have been put in. In fact, CAMP itself has put in a proposed legislation. There is one pending. There's a bill pending in Parliament which will hopefully see the light of day soon, and it will bring about very substantial and very needed changes to regulate this currently unregulated system of dispute resolution. The legislations that we have are with respect to litigation, with respect to arbitration and conciliation, but nothing with respect to mediation as of now.
And yet, mediations have been going on as far as corporates are concerned, as far as many litigated cases are concerned. They do move in for the process of mediation also. So now my question is, what has changed for a proposed legislation to be brought in?
Yeah, that question is very, very interesting, Shuchi. Actually, I'd like to bring to notice two things which have happened recently to bring about or exaggerate the need for this kind of change. First of all, like all of us have suffered COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, our legal system actually took one of the most devastating hits. Our legal system actually completely shut down for a period of time till the courts could figure out procedures for transferring all the physical hearings that were taking place online. Now, at a high court and a Supreme Court level, this is still doable. They have the finances, they have the budget, they have possibly they've got more financially well-off parties and litigants who can afford lawyers. All of this can come together very easily, or not very easily, but more easily at the Supreme Court level and the High Court level. But at the lower court levels, at the smaller Mofussil courts or the smaller courts, it becomes very difficult to establish this kind of a system where we are talking about a country in which we do not have internet access available in very, very large parts of the country. To have a dispute resolution mechanism of litigation, which is completely relying on an external resource like the internet, makes it very difficult to make to be accessible to the general public. Now, in that wake, alternative dispute resolution mechanisms like mediation have really picked up. And I'm going to go out on a limb and make a statement over here that I believe that by 2030, mediation is going to become the second most used form of dispute resolution in India, overtaking arbitration and any other form of dispute resolution. It will be the backbone of the dispute resolution mechanism in India. In fact, it should be going parallel hand in hand with litigation. First, this was the first problem that took place. Secondly, very recently, the Karnataka High Court, in a decision which is set alarm bells amongst the legal fraternity, has actually gone and said, and I'm not quoting, but something in the realm of, the court need not seek the permission of the parties to refer a matter to mediation.
Oh.
Now, I need to explain this concept a little bit. The problem is mediation as a system is a voluntary mechanism for dispute resolution, which basically means that if there is party A and party B who are having a dispute, nobody can force them to come to mediation.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to a court, so mediation also is of two types. One is a court annexed mediation and one is a private mediation. Now, this obviously was in the context of a court annexed mediation, wherein a matter was before the court, and the Karnataka High Court said that this matter will be referred to mediation and we need not take the permission of the parties to refer the matter to mediation.
Okay.
A similar kind of an approach is also there in some of the legislation, like the Commercial Courts Act. There have been amendments which have been made, which mandate a pre-litigation mediation system,
Okay.
which to basically ensure that litigation is not the first option which is present before the parties as soon as a dispute arises.
Correct.
The Act itself suggests go in for mediation. If the mediation fails, then use litigation as an alternative to resolve your dispute. But don't immediately knock the doors of the court.
Okay.
Now, with this background, we also need to understand that in the absence of a legislation as of right now, there is a lot of confusion in terms of a few things which are very, very necessary to understand this field. And I'll just try and enumerate them. First and foremost, the simplest question that we are very often confronted with is, who can become a mediator?
Okay.
Now, as of right now, there's no answer to that question. Internationally, anybody can become a mediator because mediation is a set of skills that can be acquired if you do the appropriate training to acquire those skills. So anybody can become a mediator.
True.
There were attempts or suggestions made by certain members of the legal fraternity saying that mediators in India, however, should be restricted to lawyers. There's a very large community, which includes CAMP, which believes that mediation shouldn't be restricted to the legal community. It should be anybody who is trained in the field of mediation should be capable of becoming a mediator. So it's a very simple question like, who can become a mediator? When the legislation comes in, it will throw light on who can become a mediator. Secondly, how do you become a mediator?
Correct.
What is the training that you need to undergo to become a mediator is another important question. So as of right now, in the absence of any legislation in place, there are different bodies which are affiliated, which are private bodies like CAMP or institutions affiliated with high courts in various states, which have come up with their own training programs.
All right.
For people to become mediators. Okay. Now, for example, we have a 40-hour training program, which is an internationally recognized training program. After having done so, what we are basically trying to say is you are adhering to an international standard which is globally acceptable as mediators. to become a mediator. So basically, after you finish that training, you can call yourself a mediator.
Yeah.
Now, another part of this problem is the fact that mediation is, to draw parlance, I'd say, like flying. After reading some books, you can't become a pilot. You'll have to fly a plane. Okay, you have to, it's something akin to that. So to become a mediator, just doing a course or a training is not enough. You'll need to shadow mediate. You'll need to observe.
Which would be
Now
like
the question is, correct, how do you gain the experience? Where do you gain the experience from? The legislation hopefully will throw light on issues like this. How many hours of observation should you do before you are allowed to co-mediate or shadow mediate? And then how many hours of after how many hours of co-mediation will you be allowed to mediate cases as a mediator? Just like flying, you don't, after doing your theory, you don't sit in the cockpit of a plane and start flying it. You first sit behind, observe people actually doing it, then you sit as a co-pilot, then you become graduate. And in a similar process, mediation also will have this step-by-step process on who and how can you become a mediator. But this is one of the issues. One of the other issues, which is extremely important, is enforceability of decisions which, wrong term, enforceability of settlement agreements which are arrived between the parties. Okay. Now, if there is a settlement agreement which is arrived at in a court annex mediation, there is no problem at all, because you take that settlement agreement, go back to court, and the court enforces it through an order, through its own order. It's a judgment. So there's no problem with respect to that. The problem generally comes up with respect to private mediations as to how do you enforce a settlement order in a private mediation. Correct. And this will differ from whether it's a commercial dispute or it is a matrimonial dispute. If it's a matrimonial dispute, for example, as of right now, what people are trying to do is, if the marriage is under the Special Marriage Act or the Hindu Marriage Act, file a divorce by mutual consent, then send in the agreement, present the agreement as a settlement agreement for divorce by mutual consent, and the court then passes a decision of giving a divorce to the parties on the basis of the details which have been mentioned before it. Now, commercial disputes follow a different system. International commercial disputes follow a very different system. The legislation hopefully will throw light on all of these aspects also. How do you enforce the order which through a mediation, a settlement agreement has been arrived? So another point, Shuchi, which becomes very relevant in terms of the need for a legislation, is the procedure that needs to be followed in a mediation. What will the procedure be? How will you control that procedure? The question comes up because mediation, unlike a litigation system, can be tailor-made to the needs of the parties. All right. Litigation follows a procedure, whether it's civil cases or criminal cases. There is a procedure which has been prescribed by codes of conduct, like the Civil Procedure Code or the Code of Criminal Procedure. They lay down what the procedure is going to be. And with time, it has been amended also. Correct. Since mediation, on the other hand, is a system where the procedure or the system can be tailor-made to suit the parties, it still will be something that needs to be done to understand what the extremities of that possibility are. It's not that you can do anything that you want to do. What should be, therefore, what should not be allowed would be something that I presume that the legislation will try and address. So just to give you an example, what do I mean by this? I am presuming that the legislation will try and address how long, for example, a mediation can go on for. It shouldn't happen that there is an abuse of the process of mediation and the mediator elongates that process for 50 hours, 100 hours, 150 hours. There should be a time limit which should be prescribed, and I'm presuming it will be, wherein they will say that the mediation should end in so many hours or weeks or months or whatever, but there should be a finality to the mediation also. It cannot be an endless process. Just like litigation, similarly, just like litigation, there has to be a system where, in case the parties are unhappy with what the mediator is doing or how the mediator is conducting herself or himself, they have to have an authority to which they can go and complain, which will basically mean that just like the legal system, there will have to be a registration of mediators. Like, for example, now to become a lawyer, you'll have to give a bar of law, the bar exam, after which you can then go and register with a high court and become a lawyer there, an advocate there, or you can go to the Supreme Court of India after having finished all the prerequisites that are required, become an advocate and record of the Supreme Court, and then file cases before the Supreme Court. Now, similarly, in mediation also, there'll be some setup that will be created. This setup has to be created so that it can be controlled. It's not, otherwise there'll be havoc. There will be no standard. As soon as there is this kind of a body that is created that regulates all of this, there will be a code of conduct which will also be created. Correct. Because as soon as you become a signatory, or sorry, not a signatory, a member of this this group of mediators, they will prescribe a code of conduct that the mediator must follow. And in case there is she or he is in breach of that code of conduct, what will happen? That's also something that will be addressed. Yes, it may be through a grievance committee, it may be through a regulatory authority, but this is also something that will be addressed. Then one of the last points that I would like to mention is the fact that there's something known as confidentiality, which is a very, very essential ingredient of mediation, wherein we say that anything that is disclosed in mediation remains in mediation, by which I mean information that is disclosed in mediation cannot later on be brought in before in litigation. So if you are disclosing some information to the mediator, that information should remain between the mediator and the party, and not go to a third party or the opposite party, or in such a manner be compromised that it can be brought up in a court of law against the person providing such information.
For example, as evidence.
Correct. Now, since this is, as of right now, on the basis of the agreement of confidentiality that the parties sign, I think there will be a stronger solution that will be given to enforce or ensure that the confidentiality of the process is never breached. And I think the legislation will try and address that aspect also. So these are the basic points which I believe have to be a necessary part of this proposed bill which is going to come up. There will be changes, there will be discrepancies, some of the discrepancies from what I have said, but overall, these are the most important aspects which I believe will be addressed in the legislation, which is going to hopefully see the light of day soon.
Wonderful. Gokul, thank you for clarifying this entire situation, because I'm sure that there are a lot of doubts right now. And more and more, from what I understand, this is going to become an extremely important field. So let's hope that this goes forward. And thanks so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much. And as usual, if you have any questions or queries or doubts or clarifications or suggestions, feel free to write into us, comment on this video, or send us an email and we can take the discussion forward. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you so much, Shuchi, for doing this.
Thanks so much. Thank you.